Nope, not anymore. We're gonna do this old school avatar, no fan art section, just me, you, and my opinions on somebody doing something absolutely shitty. Alright, so this is going to be one of those angry episodes, so if you're not in the mood for that, then I am very terribly sorry, this is not the episode for you. Maybe after the events of last week, my tolerance levels are at an all-time low, especially considering that this is coming from somebody who I have at least a level of respect for. Well, that respect has since been lost. For those of you who aren't aware, there is a member of the atheist community who recently passed to cancer. Some of you will know who that is, some of you won't, that's fine. Who it is not important to the context of the video. A friend of mine tweeted about their death, and their tweet is now currently unavailable. Apparently, looking at their tweet, Thomason, the person in question, decided that this was an apt thing to say.
We all have the choice of heaven or hell. Mark deserved heaven based on his service in the military and his kindness, but if he chooses hell, he chooses hell. His tattoos of Satan suggest his choices in that camp. Consider that hell killed him. Isn't that enough?
This gets into the actual problem I have with evangelical Christianity. This right here, this idea that someone who you think should deserve to go to heaven, who deserves to have a good afterlife, dies and then needs to burn in hell for eternity. Even if you view hell as some kind of separation from God, and that in fact is what causes the burning, that's still burning for eternity. Moving your goalpost from one type of torture to another helps no one. It is nothing but a tactic to try to squirm away from the actual problem in that belief system. Anyways, on to the next section of the tweet that actually causes me problems. SJ says, considering that hell killed him. Well, if hell is something that happens to you in the afterlife, then no, it actually cannot kill you. But if you're viewing hell as a separation from God, and you say a separation from God killed you, no, SJ, cancer killed him. Cancer is what took him out of this world, not hell. Moreover, if you view your God as omnipotent, then I'm sorry, but your God is literally the person who took them away. You can squirm and try to avoid these problems in your religion, but I'm sorry, they're present. Suck it up. Deal with it. Now, before I get into the rest of my thoughts, I do have to point out some thoughts from Ocean, a very good friend of mine, and the co-host of the Hammered Out podcast, whenever we actually have the opportunity to host that thing.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like, do you bring up hell at funerals or what? I guess this is the effect of being a certain kind of Christian. You wind up trying to justify very obviously immoral consequences of the whole heaven/hell thing, biting the bullet and cracking the tooth. I have been to many a funeral in my life. Too many. And the fact that people make comments like this about the dead with such timing is just absolutely fucking across the board disgusting. You don't get to make smarmy, knowing comments on the afterlife until you get there. Beyond that, the one time I had a conversation with this guy was in a call with SJ present, and the man showed nothing but absolute respect to her, and this is what she decides to post upon the announcement of his death. There are not words extreme enough for what I want to express.
And this is entirely correct. This is the actual problem with a belief system like that. The exclusionary practices that lead people to say such abominable things is an issue. Do not skirt away from it, address it, try to improve yourself. Realize that there is no justification for what you said, and try to be a better person. Ocean may say that there are not words extreme enough for what I want to express, but I do have a few. I'm not going to go into name-calling because that doesn't add anything to the argument. I may be angry, but I would like to remain productive. To that end, I had invited SJ onto my channel a while back for a conversation. That's the part that you guys know. What some of you may not know is what the conversation originally was supposed to entail. The conversation we ended up having was one about the things that atheists or theists seem to have issue with that they honestly shouldn't. For instance, some atheists fight very vigorously against a historical Jesus, even though that has no bearing on whether or not he's divine or a god, and there are theists that fight vehemently against the theory of evolution, even though the theory of evolution does nothing to undermine a god existing. It was a neutral conversation, and it was a very pleasant one that I enjoyed. The conversation originally was going to be a little more aggressive, because originally, S.J. Thomason had been posting several times, for some weird reason, that Christianity cured depression. I have already done videos on this topic, but suffice to say that that is wrong, and as somebody who works in public education, rhetoric like that is incredibly damaging to people who are vulnerable. Don't be the reason somebody hurts themselves. I have seen far too many cases of people turning to theism to try to help with their anxiety and their depression, and instead they end up doing nothing but damaging themselves, or in some cases, whatever belief structure they found themselves in actually has worked into it that their anxiety and their depression is somehow their fault. causing sometimes irreparable damage to these people's psyche. This is why I do not espouse such dangerous rhetoric, and that was originally going to be the topic of that conversation. However, after a few direct messages with her, which I won't reveal here, since they are private messages and I'm not asking for consent to reveal them, she revealed to me that she did not want to talk about that particular topic because she did not want to bring that type of negative attention to her tweets and make people make a bunch of videos about them. I could respect this because, as far as I'm concerned, if you realize that the things you've been saying are dumb and you want to pull attention away from them because you've honestly changed your position, then fine, go ahead. But after this, I think the gloves are officially off. SJ, this is a message directly for you. If you do not want people making negative videos like this one about your tweets, then behavior like what you just showed here is the exact opposite of what is actually beneficial to your cause. In the event that you think what you're doing is actually helpful in some way, shape, or form, it's not. It's hurtful. It is literally spitting on the emotions of the grieving. If you don't understand why that is the case, then let me go ahead and paint a scenario for you so that you can. You have a best friend that dies. You turn to one of your friends, who you didn't realize actually was a practicing Muslim somehow. Their method of consoling you is letting you know that you shouldn't worry, they will only be burning in Jahannam until the final days, at which point they will be able to enter heaven. I'm sure you would find rhetoric like that not consoling, but repugnant. Guess what? That is no different than what you just said. Moreover, as Ocean said, your timing was absolutely atrocious. This is a recent death. You are spitting in the faces of the grieving. Honestly, I don't see how you think that this is helpful in any way, shape, or form. There is another side to this, though. You could be doing this not because you think it's helpful, but because you think that this is a good way to generate responses, and in that way, I guess you succeeded. Since, as we can very well see, here I am. But let me just say this. If your method of trying to get attention is to say things like this in a public forum, then I'm sorry, but your methods of getting attention are methods reeking of moral deficit. You want to talk about the origins of morality? You want to talk about how to be a better person? You want to try to be a good Christian and a beacon for other people so that they can find your religion as a good and honest way to live? Then fucking be the example for that, not this. In scenario A, if you thought you were honestly helping, I've shown that you are not, and everybody can show you as well that you are not. So what you've done is wrong. If you're doing this just to gain attention, then what you're doing is wrong on principle. Get your head out of your theistic echo chamber, look around at reality, and realize that you do not need to go to these lengths just because you're a Christian. I'm not telling you to deconvert. I'm not telling you to not be a Christian. I'm not telling you to not worship your God, but I am telling you that it seems to me that your religious beliefs have led you down a path of unrepentant harm. Maybe you'll look at this video and think that I'm doing this just because I hate you. I don't. If I hated you, I wouldn't have invited you on my channel for a conversation that I honestly still think to this day was very fruitful. I want to see you improve. I want to see you become a better person. But it is behavior like this that makes me lose hope in that possibility. Please, SJ, if you're watching this video, take my words to heart and honestly take some time for introspection. You gain nothing from behavior like this. It's a net loss for you, because any attention that you might get from behavior like this will be completely outweighed by the actual harm that it causes. But that's about all I have to say on the topic. As always, my DMs are open. If you want to have a conversation there, then by all means. But understand this, you said these things in a public forum, so I have responded in kind on a public forum. That's all I have for you guys for now. Let me know your opinions in the comment section below. Leave a like, do all the same stuff you normally would. My usual links are in the description below. And SJ, if you're watching this to its conclusion, you are better than this. Please, be better than this.